and novelty songs. Spoofs, goofs, and novelty songs. Spoofs, goofs, and novelty songs. Spoofs, goofs, and novelty songs.
People are memeing it too much, though.
The Sopranos?
Yeah. Cut it with the memes.
Who's memeing The Sopranos?
Fucking everybody. All these ex-Tumblrites.
All I can say is that it's really good, but that said, we're in a pandemic. If you haven't watched it yet, you're probably not going to. And that's how I feel about like The Wire.
And honestly, the further you go, the more like 90s it is too.
It's like early mid-aughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like 99, I think, was the first.
That's why like AJ really was listening to Rage, and he was listening to Limp Bizkit.
Oh my god, AJ's hair and like outfits in the first season compared to like the last season. He changed the way you would expect a boy his age to change. He now owns nightclubs or sets up parties and stuff. And he wears purple collared shirts.
Isn't there a Sopranos sequel coming out or prequel?
I think there's a prequel. Like I think they got
like a movie with
Gandolfini's son. Teeny Feeney.
Mr. Feeney.
Yeah. Gandalf.
Yeah, he's played
Feeney.
It's played by Ian McKellen and the guy who plays Mr. Feeney.
Yeah, they fuse together. Yeah.
They're 150 years old.
That's how you make the Gandolfini.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a drink you can get at a bar. I'll have one Gandolfini, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Hi, pretty lady. Yes, and this is an episode of Spoofs, Goofs, and Novelty Songs. Welcome, everyone, and get ready, because we're talking about A Mighty Wind. Marty, take it away.
That was fun to let you do the intro. A 2003 mockumentary of folk singers. This movie was written and directed by a master of spoofs, Christopher Guest, and co-written by Eugene Levy, who also stars. The film focuses on mocking the 1960s folk music revival very broadly and on musical documentaries in general. The film's origins came from the Folksmen characters, which was a trio that Harry Shearer, Christopher Guest, and Michael McKean debuted on Saturday Night Live in 1984. They would occasionally open for the band Spinal Tap as these characters. And the final fun fact, the song A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow was nominated for an Oscar, which was written by Michael McKean and Annette O'Toole. Notably, all of the songs were written by members of the cast, lending itself to the authenticity and love, I would say, that the songs have, because I think this movie is a very loving tribute overall. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on A Mighty Wind?
It was good.
It was good.
I agree.
Let's not do an ASMR pod. This is gross.
It was good. I don't know. How many Christopher Guest films do we have to watch?
All of them.
Before
we got about
they're
2 more.
Good. Come on.
They're good. Just watch them. They're fun romps.
Wait, I was yelling at you, Kelly.
No, I'm saying they're good, Scott. What are you trying to say?
Okay, if you're saying they're good, why would you phrase that as how many of these are we going to watch?
Let me finish.
Love them.
It's how many of these do we have to watch before we convince you, the listener, to watch all of them in one sitting with good food and drinks around you so that you don't starve.
Yeah, don't starve. Yeah. We don't here at Spoofs, Goofs, and Novelty Songs, which is, by the way, the podcast about dumb shit. We recommend you don't starve.
The podcast about dumb shit.
Yes. No longer a podcast about dumb shit. We are the podcast about.
I kind of like that. I think we're taking a step in the right direction by claiming that.
It's kind of like how America has the highest number of coronavirus cases. This is the podcast about dumb shit.
We're rebranding. We're rebranding the podcast right now.
Yes.
You walk into a boardroom, you write down a podcast about dumb shit, and Marty turns to us, and then he puts the chalk on the chalkboard, and he crosses out A and writes down the.
Yeah, the opposite of Justin Timberlake's advice.
And
add a the. Yeah. It's classier.
Yeah. It's less clean.
So I think Kelly is right. I think you could watch all of these Christopher Guest movies back to back. Not the ones he's directed, because they have the same cast. They all generally play really similar characters with slight tweaks. This movie has the biggest tweaks, I think, to
that
the
was really
characters
cute,
that these
Marty.
people generally play.
When you
What?
said slight tweaks.
Slight tweaks.
Slight tweaks?
Slight tweaks.
Guys, I've turned into a baby this week.
Yeah. You said you weren't wearing pants. I didn't realize you were also wearing a diaper.
And I should have figured by the rattle in your hand and the pacifier in your other hand.
Don't out me not wearing pants on the podcast.
Yeah.
How
And there's
dare
a
you.
mobile hanging above you that you're like batting at with one hand.
It's because I'm wearing shorts instead of pants.
Oh, trickery.
A workaround.
Christopher
Overall,
Guest. They're all
yes.
mockumentaries too. They're all
Yes.
pretty much the same.
They're all
movie.
mockumentaries. They are really focused on making fun of subjects of documentaries. Like the tone of these movies is very much making fun of how people act, how self-important they are on camera, right? Like that's a big joke recurring here. With the undercutting of like seedy underbelly of life kind of stuff, this movie has like a real big recurring thing that everyone has like really messed up sexual or religious debauchery going on. Like they're either like porn stars or they're involved in weird cults underneath all of this, which I thought was a great recurring thing, that like either they're involved in some weird cult or they're doing some like pornography type thing. And so I think he does that stuff really well in these movies. But I think I will say, if we're going to compare this to Waiting for Guffman, which is the other oh my fucking God, the other guest directed movie that we've done. Guffman has a lot more heart, I think. I think this movie doesn't have quite as much, it's not as warm at the end of it. Like, it kind of just exists and happens. There's not this sense of this being, like, a positive thing or something like that. Like, Waiting for Guffman feels much more like it's celebrating the idea of these people who aren't as important as they think they are. Like, I think it celebrates the idea of artists who are failures, but the fact that they make stuff that somebody might enjoy, it's still, I think that's still part of that movie. This movie just feels like it's kind of just making fun of this, right? Which is fine. It's still a funny movie, but it loses that a little bit.
I think it's kind of like the opposite, because they're all like semi-successful, like successful enough to live as like a cult, and like that's how it feels, at least to me. Like all of them have their own sort of version of success, and they're just making fun of the fact that, yeah, it's good music, but they're also like super kooky people behind the making of it. Like this is basically the inspiration film for Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros, in my opinion.
That's a great comparison. Yeah, Home is really similar to this, right? Like all that first album they did is like really similar.
Oh, it's that band.
Yeah.
Very folky, very culty. Like they got some weird themes that they're throwing into their songs.
There's
Fault.
the weird thing about doing a movie that's just like a really good movie that has some light spoofing elements like this one. It's just really good the whole time. I don't really have a lot to say besides just like list that all of the actors in this are great. Eugene Levy is doing this insane speech pattern that is so funny the entire time.
Oh my god, his speech was crazy. Like this whole
It's so
robot
good.
sort of, I don't even know how to describe it.
He's playing like a broken man, and so he does like a broken man's voice, kind of, is the way to describe it, I guess. Like, he talks like this. Like he's forgotten how to talk to people.
And he's like
It's-
looking all over the place.
Yeah.
He's always cast as the broken man in like anything he's in, but he's like the most broken in this one, yet the most human at the same time. Like I felt genuinely bad for him during like the hotel scene where he's like trying to play his guitar and there's just loud sex happening in the room next door, and I'm just like, man, that kind of sucks. Like,
How lewd and crude.
yeah.
His albums after his and Catherine O'Hara's duo broke up, his albums were called, I wrote them all down.
Like,
What were they
I'm in the
called?
grave, and like...
Oh, yeah, they're like called Cry for Help and like No Reason to Live and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that cult, seemed cool.
They dress up as
all-
wizards.
Yeah, they dress up as wizards, they hold sparklers, they sing weird songs. It's Wink, Witches in Nature's Color, and they're like, red, indigo, violet. Yeah, it seems like, as cults go, you could do a lot fucking worse.
Yeah. That folk band that they were in, the cult group, the first time we see them, they're playing right in front of like a big roller coaster.
Yeah.
And no one's paying attention to them.
It's like a Six Flags gig. That's what I'm saying is like they're all successful in some ways. They get these weird, shitty gigs and they get paid for them at least.
Yeah, they're all working. Yeah. So, Fred Willard is like their manager? Is that his job?
Yes, I think he's like an he's an ex like cable TV star who became the manager of this band, and he constantly wants them to use his catchphrases from his TV
What are his
show.
catchphrases? I love all of them.
Hey, what happened?
Hey, what happened is my favorite, of course.
Mm-hmm. It's really
like all his catchphrases were just like normal things you would say, but like you just say them as though it's a catchphrase. It would all be like, I'm sorry. Like
his jokes weren't jokes. They had the cadence of jokes, but he's just saying
there's
statements. That was,
there's
like,
no
the big
punchline.
thing.
The punchline is the fact is his cadence. It's so
Yes, the punchline is his cadence. It's an insane character. I actually like thinking about it now. I actually like it way more than when I was watching it. And I was enjoying
he's
it
got
while
like
watching
frosted tips or something. Like
yes. His character's so good. In
the
this.
movie like ends, or it doesn't end, but it's really close to ending. I think with him and telling them how they got like that show for what's the band?
The Supreme Singers is the thing at the end. Yeah,
and it was just like the way he pitched it in the boardroom was just like, oh my god, it's so obnoxious.
Yes.
Yeah, Fred Willard, R.I.P. What a
rest in peace. What a
spoofer.
Yeah,
a comedy gem.
Too true.
Yeah, everybody's good in this. Jane Lynch gives like a career performance in this movie. She's so fucking funny in this movie. O'Hara's really funny in this movie. Parker Posey, underused but really funny. Guest, Shear, and McKean's characters. Being like annoyed that the other bands aren't as like authentic as they are is like so good, and just like a great recurring trio thing to keep going back to, because Guest wants to play this really like awful experimental song and they both don't want to play it, and all of
or
this
they
stuff
like
with,
start
like,
speaking Spanish. There's like a Spanish like breakdown in the middle of it. Yeah, just them debating what their opening song is gonna be, because that like was a very relatable bit.
Yeah.
Like that is like something that bands argue about for sure.
Yeah, Marty, you might not know about this, but it is something that bands might argue about. Is what they open with.
You wouldn't get it.
So this movie is built around Bob Balaban getting these bands together to play a tribute show to his father, who was this like patriarch of folk music, which is based on a real guy who kind of like guided a lot of the famous folk singers of the 60s, like Woody Guthrie and stuff. And the whole workaround of him being really awkward and really uncomfortable, and then also like when they get to the show and he's so concerned about every detail of the venue that they're at, and then his introductions for each band are like hilarious. His whole character and the arc of this movie being built around his character specifically was super, super funny and very clever. I thought that it wasn't just about following these bands, that it was more about this guy trying to do this tribute show thing. I just really enjoyed that aspect of this movie. There's so little to say. It's just a good movie.
Yeah,
it's just a rock solid.
Go watch it.
We've already talked about like Christopher Guest's style and
Eugene Levy,
mockumentaries in general. This is just a rock solid. This would have been a good one to start with, but there's not a lot more to be said other than this is like just a very solid entry in the Guest anthology.
If you think about mockumentaries, I think this is like a movie you would think of right off the top.
Yeah. It's above, for me it's above Spinal Tap, and it's below Best in Show. I like Best in Show the best.
Did you say above Spinal Tap, below Best in Show?
Yeah.
Methinks I agree with that.
I think I would put this above Spinal Tap also.
Spinal Tap, I don't know.
But yeah.
I feel like it falls into like the Monty Python syndrome of like, you know all the bits and the jokes, and it's good, but it's also just like ugh. Part
of it too is that it like broke ground when it came out, and then they like Spinal Tap invented it, and then these later efforts perfected it. IMO.
Yeah. I would agree. I also think overall, this movie, if we're going to compare the two movies, this has a lot better music, I think, overall. Though I think that's unfair, but I do think the music in this movie is extremely good. Like, I thought all of the songs were, like, enjoyable to
Yeah,
listen
they actually
to.
were. I was going to say they're bangers. I was going to say they need to make, like, a remake of this movie in, like, 30 years, but it's about dubstep. It's a dubstep revival. And it's going to be great. You guys are going to love it. They're going to... Christopher Guest, it's going to be his swan song.
Skrillex comes out on a what's the word I'm looking for?
Wheelchair? Walker.
No, the thing walker. He comes out on a walker, and he's like... and he reaches out one haggard skeletal finger, and he just pushes play, and the crowd just loses it when it goes... dun, 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 dun.
It's the sexy sax. He got him. And then he's like, I'm just kidding. And then he presses stop and he presses play again, and then it's Rick Roll.
Oh boy. Skrillex, you prankster.
Skrillex, stop it.
So, as a movie, 8 out of 10. A lot of laughs, good music. The world of the Guest movies are always so tight and well thought out, but I still stand by the missing the heartwarming center. And I think it's just a personal taste thing. Like, I tend to I prefer single character movies more than ensemble movies, I think. And so I think I was just missing that kind of like through line character for me. As a spoof, 9 out of 10. Now, when we reviewed Waiting for Guffman, I gave it a really low spoof rating, and I am retracting that and giving it a 9 out of 10 because I completely discounted the idea of spoofing the subjects of documentaries and not just the form of documentaries. And these movies nail spoofing the subjects of documentaries. So I think both 9 out of 10s for the spoofs.
Okay. I'll mark it in our schedule that we keep track of all of our scores in. 7 out of 10 as a movie.
What a good review.
I'm keeping that 7 out of 10 train going.
Mm-hmm. A good solid C.
Something I like about this movie
minus
is
maybe.
That you can just watch this movie no matter what. No matter what. You're trying to take a nap, throw this movie on. You're trying to wake up, throw this movie on. Trying to mow the lawn, throw this movie on. Trying to cook a meal, throw this movie on. Trying to fold your laundry, do some chores, just throw this movie on, because guess what? It's an easy watch.
Very easy watch. Hungover? Ooh.
Oh, throw this movie on. Drunk? Throw it on, baby.
Mm-hmm. Throw it up.
Throw it up. Yeah, it's a good movie. If your parents are looking for a good movie, tell them to watch this. But also, you should watch it. There you go. 8 out of 10 is a spoof. Scott.
Yeah, as a spoof, what's it spoofing? Old folk people past their prime?
Yeah.
Dang,
well, then, hey, 10 out of 10.
Whoa!
They did exactly
I don't know if you've
that.
ever done that.
Yeah. I enjoy this movie quite a bit. Like, yeah, this is I think only Best in Show is the only other better Guest movie. And as a movie, 9 out of 10. The end. We should average up when we get done with all the spoof movies. We should take an average and just see what we think of, like, the genre of spoof movies. Yeah.
Probably like a 5 out of 10 in the end.
It's perfectly
where like some
balanced.
of them are good and some are bad.
It's perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
Just like Thanos.
Yeah. You love referencing Thanos on this podcast.
I don't know why I just constantly bring up Thanos. I
Thanos
don't in real life. I swear to
Thanos
God.
is living rent free in your head, man.
I can't get his purple, thick daddy body out of my
it's
head.
a daddy body.
It's really funny how Marty's wearing his Thanos, one of his 3 Thanos shirts right now, actually, while we're recording this.
Yeah.
Looks like
he's
Thanos.
getting chin implants.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you have a novelty song? Do you have a novelty song?
I've
please?
got the song this week. I got it. I've got it. It's ready to go. You guys ready for it?
Yeah, what is it?
It's called the Batdance. It's another one of those where it's like, I don't really know if it's a song. I mean, it is a song.
It absolutely counts.
But
this absolutely counts.
Yeah, I should have done this for Blank Man because it's superheroes.
Superheroes.
But I don't know. This song is just wild. If you haven't seen it, watch the video. It just was made to go alongside which Batman movie? Do you guys know? The Joker one?
The first one. Just the first Batman.
Yeah,
movie.
and they were just like, "Hey, it's Prince. Do whatever you want. It's gonna be great." And it's not really that good.
Fuck, what's his name? Who's the Spooky Man director?
Tim Burton.
Yeah, this is the first Tim Burton Batman movie.
Yeah.
Very well.
It's almost like more of a remix than anything. I don't know. Just take a listen. And then right here is where you play it.
Who was that?
Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale. I like Batman.
Hi. Bruce Wayne. I tried to avoid all this, but I can't.
Yeah. So that was the Batdance. What do you guys think? What did you guys think of the Batdance?
Fucking loved that.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah, it's just like the movie. There's really not much to say. You kind of can't comment on something that's perfect, right?
So, I'll say I'm not a huge Prince fan. I like Prince, but Prince is a little too 80s for me.
All
like
over the place, I would say.
Yeah. And so the Batdance to me is just like, this is just Prince, which is fine. It's just not my favorite music. And I also don't like that Batman movie that much.
He might be 80s-y, but you're forgetting he's also horny.
Yeah.
That's true.
I gotta be,
which is timeless.
I gotta be in the mood to listen to Prince. I just gotta be in the mood. You know what I'm saying, fellas?
No.
I gotta light a candle. I gotta lower up the water in my bathtub.
I put rose petals on my keyboard.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to unbutton the first couple buttons on my billowing white blouse shirt.
And then I open iTunes and I go and I find the Spoof, Scoofs, and Novelty Songs podcast and I press play on it.
Nothing will get your girl in the mood like hearing like whip boop spoofs and goofs giddly goo.
Oh boy.
Prince is fine. I feel like he's one of those artists, like I enjoy watching his live performance recordings online versus like his studio recordings. They're not as good.
Yeah. It's a little overproduced for me, I guess.
Dude, the 80s sound like shit. The 80s is when they started using like digital recording techniques and like they did not have it down. Like the Uncanny Valley is like still too you know what I mean? They like can't make a digital snare sound like a real snare, and they like are putting like just like an unrealistic amount of reverb on everything, and it's all like
they just like
and,
they got equipment in the 80s where they could just turn knobs and weird stuff would happen, so everyone was like, do that. That sounds crazy. People are gonna love this. And it's like
I feel like every band I like from that era is all the bands who couldn't afford good production, and so they all sound like trashed now. But those are all the bands that I still like that are from the 80s, quote unquote.
Wow, so authentic.
So I'll go back to our roots on this one, guys. Give you a guess. In the year 1989, where did this song peak on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100?
Ooh.
Number 1.
Number 2.
Cheap.
I hate this.
Boxed you in.
I guessed first.
Marty,
boxed you in.
Marty, okay. You guys send me your guesses via chat.
Why? I just did. I just said it via mouth.
All right, so you guessed number 2 for real?
Yeah.
Okay, Marty.
I guess number 1 for real.
Okay, this sucks. Who has a product?
Wait, what? You're not going to tell us?
What?
It was 44
Why won't you tell us?
because you guys suck, and this is what it's devolved to. Is just I guess 1, I guess 2, $1, Bob, $2, Bob, Fuck
fair.
this shit.
But that was like the biggest movie.
You're giving up on the segment because I strategized rather than being like, let me think about it. Well, in 1984, they invented Pepsi Clear, so that was leading me closer to 21. But then again, Reagan was president, so I guess 22 is maybe better.
Honestly, if you gave me one of these, if you gave me one of those every episode, I'd be so happy. I'd be so fucking happy with the way you handle yourself. Last episode, we did a quiz. We did 2 quizzes, and I invented the brilliant strategy of just guessing what your opponent guesses. That makes it fun, because then you can tie.
Here's the thing, Kelly. That song was made by one of the biggest music acts in the world at the time, and came attached to a movie that was the biggest movie of the year.
I can't believe it peaked at all.
I thought it would be number 1. I legit thought it would be number 1.
Remember when
it was
Kiss,
cute.
Kiss from a Rose came out?
I feel like there was like a trend, like just through like sheer happenstance, that a ton of the songs we brought, like especially like novelty songs from the 60s, somehow just like preposterously made it to number 1, like for some reason, like the Elephant Dance was number 1 or whatever, like so now our like brains are skewed to think that like the Batdance could make it to number 1.
Or like who's the guy who did Hello Mudda Hello Fada? Like every song he wrote was like number 1 hit for some reason.
And then they had to invent a category for comedy, for Billboard Hot 100 comedy. And then it ruined that guy's career.
He's like, no.
Yeah, it peaked at number 44. Not a lot to say. Batdance is wild. Good job marketing on picking someone who makes music to make music for your movie.
Nice job. Did you know? Well, Kelly, I know you know this, but Marty, did you know that Prince's like protege wrote the Goofy Moofy song?
Yes, I knew that.
Well,
yes.
then
it was recorded at
Paisley
Paisley Park, and we'll be reviewing it in 2 weeks on this podcast. So,
wait, which movie?
We'll be reviewing Eye to Eye by Powerline from the Goofy movie.
We're not going to do that on the Goofy movie episode. That is past. We'll do that on a future episode.
We have to dig this back
the
up.
Extremely Goofy movie episode.
Not even going to wait for that, because on that episode we'll be doing what's the intro song to a Goofy movie. Marty, do you have a product, or does Scott have a product?
I have a product this week. Oh.
Yeah, sure you do.
Kelly got a little preview. This week's novelty product is a wrestling action figure.
Yay!
And that's gonna do it for us.
Great.
Nope.
Great.
Wrestling figures are posable figures based upon wrestlers and personalities, mostly for the WWF/WWE, though other companies have also had wrestling figures released. The first WWF figures were produced by LJN in the 1980s to produce the first figures based on the wrestling giants superstars. Eventually, the contract would shift to Hasbro, then to Jakks Pacific, and finally Mattel, who produces WWE's figures to this day. This particular figure that I'm holding is actually of Goldberg, and this was a WCW action figure originally produced by Galoob. And all that being said, gentlemen, it's time for a little quiz.
I got called gentleman twice this episode. It feels good.
By Marty?
Yeah, Kelly, why don't you ever call me gentleman?
Because I use words that if I said them to a stranger, it would make them feel like I'm talking down to them. Like bud and guy,
Pal,
and
y'all,
duder. You know, the typicals. Chief? Thanks, Chief. No, I don't use Chief. That's
this
not
week,
me.
I have a wrestling-themed quiz for you, gentlemen, and it is a 5 questions for you guys. Whoever gets the most right wins. Very simple. Question number 1. When the wrestler Goldberg, that's of our action figure this week, gentlemen, that's this guy, would wrestle, what would fans chant during his matches?
Is there an A, B, and C, or do we just...
Nope.
All right. I'm going to guess they say, go, go, go.
Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle.
They would chant, Goldberg.
I should have just guessed
close.
his name.
Oh, Scott, if we would have
Yes.
teamed up on that one, we probably could have got it.
Yeah.
You actually were pretty
Both
close.
of us were pretty close.
Yeah.
Number 2. WWE recognizes 2 wrestlers as having the most world championship reigns. Who are these 2 men? Hint. One of them won most of his championships outside of the WWE in the 1980s. The other was a star in the 2000s.
John Cena.
Scott gets one of
Oh,
them.
fuck.
Nice. 80s?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan is incorrect. Scott, care to take a guess at the 80s wrestler?
Macho Man Randy.
Oh,
Incorrect. It was Ric Flair. Ric Flair.
He says,
oh
"Woo."
my God. My wife's going to be so mad at me for getting these wrong.
Because she loves wrestling. 1 point to Scott, 0 points to Kelly. Number 3. What boxing legend had a wrestling match with Japanese wrestling legend Antonio Inoki?
Scott, if you get
Why?
this right,
This
we
is
don't
so-
have to hear
this
the
is
last 2
so
questions.
This is not difficult.
It's why are you asking us questions about something you know we don't know about?
What boxing legend?
Uh-huh.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson is incorrect.
All right.
And what's the question again?
Older. What boxing legend had a wrestling match with Japanese wrestling legend Antonio Inoki?
And it's a boxing. And he already said Mike
Boxer.
Tyson. Okay.
I said legend. That implies he's old.
Now I need to think of one other boxer.
Mike Tyson is old.
Mike Tyson is old. I'm thinking older than Mike Tyson is what I'm saying.
Floyd
Scott gets hints.
Mayweather.
I don't. That's younger.
That's what I'm saying. I
Muhammad
don't
Ali.
know. Who's the other Muhammad Ali?
You don't get the point, but it was Muhammad
I
Ali.
should get
yes.
the point.
No.
All right.
Nobody gets a point for getting it wrong.
All right, I'll join back in when this is over.
No,
Oh my
Kelly.
god. He hung up. Okay, he's back.
Wow, the comedy. Kelly, you're going to love this question. You're going to love it. What movie is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's highest grossing picture?
Oh my God.
Jumanji.
It's not Jumanji.
Fate of the Furious?
Ooh, Furious 7.
Damn.
It grossed $1.5 billion. Finally, gentlemen, I'm going to give you a list of wrestling teams who on television are claimed to be family members. You're going to
what's
tell
the
me
score
which
right
ones
now?
are...
Am I leading with 1 to
boy.
0?
I think it's 1-0, yes.
For 2 points.
So you're going to tell me which ones of these are actually related and which ones are not. First to ring in gets to guess. You get a point if you get it right. If you don't get it right, your opponent gets a half point. So I have 5 teams for you. You're going to tell me, and we can do this kind of true or false. So I'm going to tell you who the 2 people are, what their relation supposedly is, and you're going to tell me if that's a real thing or just a wrestling thing. Okay?
Okay.
Number 1. Kane and The Undertaker. They are supposedly brothers.
They're not brothers.
Is that true? Kelly gets the point. They are not brothers. We're tied up 1-1. Edge and Christian are supposedly cousins.
That's true. They're most certainly cousins.
Kelly gets a half point. They are not related.
This is so fucking dumb.
Kelly
You might
leads
as well be
1.5.
saying anything. You could just be making this up for all I fucking know.
Matt and Jeff Hardy are supposedly brothers.
True. They're absolutely brothers.
Kelly gets a point.
Yeah, because you said Matt and Jeff Hart. You said their last name
tell.
once.
I could tell because they had the same last name.
Yeah. This is so.
I have siblings and they have my last name, and I put 2 and 2 together.
Kelly leads 2.5 to 1. Scott needs to get both of these correct.
See, I'm
to
the
win.
quiz master, and you're like, I'm the trickster god puzzle master.
I am. Brie Bella and Nikki Bella are supposedly twins.
False. They are sisters.
Trick question. You're talking about cheeses, baby Bella cheeses.
You're talking about mushrooms.
Portobello.
Kelly gets the point.
I don't get a point.
because they are They are twins. Kelly gets a half
Nope,
point.
I said false. I get 0 points.
Okay, fine. Let's say it's 2-1, so Scott can still tie.
That makes sense.
Final question. Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon, father and son.
True.
Scott gets the point. We tied once again. Hooray!
No,
Everyone
Kelly
wins.
wins. Kelly wins. Kelly earned
Kelly
it. Come
wins.
on.
Oh, good boy, Kelly.
I didn't do anything.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think that's going to do it
That's
for us.
going to do it for us.
For
Who
us
would have
this
thought? We review a
podcast.
good movie, and it's only a 40-minute ep.
Yeah, sorry, everybody.
Sorry, everyone. you
Oh, I know you feel like you're missing out on that
You
extra
listen
5
to
minutes.
you listen to a larger
Those damn-
percentage of this episode than most episodes, but only because of the 5 minutes is much bigger of a percentage of 40 minutes than it is of an hour. Idiot. Good job, dumb listener. We really appreciate you, idiot.
Yeah. Now that we know we got to the point in the podcast nobody listens to, I can finally say, fuck you, listener, you dumb piece of shit.
I just want to say, if anyone's listening to this point, we love you guys. From the bottom of our hearts, we really appreciate that you're listening to this, because without this, we don't have anything going on in our lives.